So sinus conditions and mucus in the winter are real things. A lot of people suffer from congestion during the winter and get repeated colds through the winter. So in this video, I'm going to talk about why is it that mucus formation happens, or at least the experience of mucus is so much more in the winter, and how can you prevent it, how can you protect yourself, and how can you treat yourself from that condition. So the first thing that I want to say is mucus production is actually not more during the winter, but mucus gets hardened during the winter. All fluids have a tendency. The lake will freeze. If you put butter, melted butter outside in the winter, it's going to condense. If you put coconut oil outside, it's going to condense. If you put ghee outside in the winter, it's going to condense. Similarly, the bodily fluids also get a little bit more condensed, a little bit more hardened. Now, with that understanding, I want you to know, where is the production of mucus in your body happening? So the chest region and everything above that, basically the chest is the headquarters of where mucus is really formed. While mucus lines a lot of your body's joints and body's linings, mucus production actually happens in the chest. So the region at the chest and above the chest is really the storehouse of mucus. Now, during the winter, as this mucus gets harder, the mucus transportation, the mucus traveling through your channels becomes a little difficult. And as a result, that hardened mucus, when it sticks into your sinuses, into all these narrow channels with limited mobility, it has a tendency to stay there, to get stuck there, and then to go on to having full-blown sinus or earaches or sinus infections, as well as colds. So what are we going to do to prevent this, to protect yourself, as well as to treat yourself if you were to experience it? So the first thing that I want to say is that since we know that your chest is where mucus is produced, even if it's a slightly windy day and even if it's just a lot of wind, you want to keep your chest protected. Sometimes I say it's okay to wear shorts and actually go out in the winter, but you want to keep this region protected, because where your mucus is forming, you do not want it to get condensed and stuck right there. You want it to start moving into the passages in the channel. So A, keep your chest protected. B, if you've not done Nasya, right? Nasya is instilling nose drops. I have it on my highlights. I have a lot of videos on Nasya. If you don't have a Nasya practice, this is a great time to instill those Nasya drops into your nose. And what they do is they kind of will keep the mucus softer, at least in this region, and it'll prevent you from getting those full-on sinus infections and congestion. It'll actually also help you for the spring. When you don't have accumulation here in the winter, your spring is not going to be quite as bad. The third thing you want to do is try and take steam once a week at least, right? So when you're taking steam, even if you're going into like a steam bath or you're taking a little bit of gentle steam, you're actually melting all of this hardened mucus. You're giving it a chance to become a little bit softer. And of course, drink warm teas. I only drink warm liquids. The minute you drink cooler liquids, all of this region kind of melts even more. In fact, some people have the experience that once they consume something hot, their nose starts running. Now that's an indication of the fact that there is mucus here that's stuck and that's melted. And then when you have something warm, that mucus starts melting and dripping through your nose. So when you do all of this, right, I feel like your experience of mucus in the winter is going to be very, very much different. The other thing that I want to say is I'm going to post my grandfather's amazing tea recipe, which kind of, it's something that I use all the time. And it's a tea recipe that's going to help you to conquer your colds were you to get sick during the winter. So I hope that was helpful. Share this video with anybody you know struggles in the winter, gets sick, lives in a cold place. These tips really help me and my family out. I also, one last thing, is avoid fruits, avoid cold shakes as much as possible during the winter. So I hope that was helpful.